Recently, we were asked a question from one of our students, and that was, whenever I explain to my mother something difficult, she smiles while I'm telling her this, and it makes me shut down what I'm feeling, and I don't want to tell her anything anymore. How can I work with this? This phenomenon can be explained by what we call biological rudeness. This is where we engage with somebody else and what we expect would happen doesn't, and it creates an activation in our nervous system. Biological rudeness doesn't always mean that somebody else is deliberately trying to be rude to us. We live in a world with distractions. This can be something as simple as somebody looking at their mobile phone, or it can be them being blatantly rude, looking away, not paying attention, interrupting you, or turning your story into something about them. And we'll notice that our nervous system can respond in two different ways. First of all, we may have a sympathetic response when this happens, and we may feel anger rising or an irritation that somebody's doing this. Now, the way that we may find this shows up in our body is as heat, tension, mobilization. We may feel ourselves reacting with anger and saying something, or we just feel wound up in general. On the other hand, the response that we get could be more towards the dorsal vagal state of our nervous system. Now, this is where we may internalize the other person's response that we are not worth listening to. So we may feel this sense of shame and we feel ourselves shrink. We may collapse. We may drop our head. We may hear that story that what we want to say isn't worth hearing or we're not worth listening to. And then we may find ourselves stonewalling, putting our guard up, clamming up, or leaving the situation. What can be really empowering is to get to know your nervous system response first of all, and then work in the body. So if you find there is that sympathetic response where there's mobilization, one of the most helpful things you can do is to discharge that mobilizing energy. And that may be as simple as getting up and going for a walk with somebody, or adding some movement in where you pop to the bathroom or get out of that environment. If you notice that you tend to collapse or shut down and it silences your voice, you may feel that you can work with your physiology by aligning your spine or even standing up, opening through the chest and adding some energy to your system so you can get your voice back. These simple strategies will create quick and powerful bottom-up regulation changes in your nervous system. And this empowers you to make a choice of how you respond rather than react without having time to think it through. It also means that you're going to be responding closer to a regulated baseline, and you're likely to make a decision that's more in line with your values rather than being reactive and maybe doing or saying something that you regret later on. So, next time biological rudeness happens, see if you can notice what the pattern of your nervous system is.